Well, the mistrial should have been granted. The prosecution went into salacious, irrelevant details, and they did that on purpose. None of Stormy Daniels' testimony proves the prosecution's case. She has absolutely no knowledge of alleged falsification of business records, so she can't speak to the criminal charges against President Trump. The prosecution put her on the stand to distract and inflame the jury, and the judge knows it, but denied the motion for mistrial. The gag order is completely unconstitutional. Everybody can talk about President Trump, and he's stuck in court with not that long until the election. And he has duct tape over his mouth. He can't say a thing. He can't defend himself. He has to rely on his attorneys to speak in court. But I'm on his legal team as well, not on this case. But my comments are also restricted, which we all think it's very unconstitutional. And I know his defense team asked for an amended gag order to allow President Trump to talk about the testimony of Stormy Daniels. The judge also denied that. It's unconstitutional, as President Trump says. And, I'm glad he has a good legal team moving this along, but maybe the other attorney on here can agree that this case is going forward at such a rapid, rushed pace. The jury was selected at a rapid, rushed pace. The prosecution can put on witnesses without letting the defense know who's coming up next, which is pretty unheard of in cases. So we're moving along.
Lindsey, unfortunately, I think you're right there. I think that it's just out of sheer laziness or not wanting to have to go through this trial again, which is why those mistrials weren't granted. You're right. They're rushing through it. And I think that the judge just simply doesn't want to have to deal with it anymore. But David, turning back to a point that Lindsey made, Stormy Daniels was testifying for about 7 hours. A lot of what came out of her mouth contradicted itself, contradicted former statements that she had made back in 2011, back in 2016 on the record for magazines. How do you think that the jury is going to be able to sift through so much of what was said? Do you think that it's going to end up hurting or helping the former president that Stormy Daniels was able to speak for so long?
It's funny reading the transcripts like everybody else is. I don't know if I'm reading a soap opera or legal proceedings.
It feels like a soap opera.
It feels like it, doesn't it? I don't think the jury is feeling very good about it, to be honest with you. The defense attorney's jobs are to throw mud on the wall, if you will. It's to make everybody kind of look the other way, like a magician, if you will. Hey, don't talk about what's really happening. Just look at all the fake stuff that's going on. Well, the prosecutor is pretty much taking the steps of what a defense attorney does and using it to their advantage, or they think so. When you're talking about different details about, Donald Trump, what he had in his toiletry bag and what he was wearing, and then you're talking about paranormal activity yesterday, what possibly does this have to do with a bookmaking case? Absolutely nothing. What she brought to the table yesterday for the prosecution and for the past 2 days really backfired, in my opinion. The prosecutors, they're going to prep their witnesses. That's par for the course. They have to. And defense attorneys do the same thing. But when they're prepping Stormy Daniels, and she admitted she was prepped, didn't they think to themselves, this may not play well? I mean, do they have any self-awareness at all? I don't know if they do, because it's just not going to be good for them. In fact, the witness after Stormy Daniels, who's going to be testifying again today, she had a completely different take on Donald Trump, and she was credible. She said that he was a family man, that he asked Melania to come to the window, that he called her prior to boarding Air Force One. Her testimony was very consistent compared to Stormy Daniels, who got tripped up on pretty much every detail known to man. And she was and Stormy Daniels, again, I wasn't in the courtroom, but from what I was told by numerous reporters and reading all the tea leaves, she didn't play well. She didn't look well. And frankly, it came off that she had a vendetta, which I think she does.